Okay, to finish up our sign language hand drawing project, you need to take out your art folder and you need to see if you finished drawing all the hands that are spelling out your particular individual letters for the word that you were using to represent who you are symbolically. So remember, you were drawing each hand on their own individual paper, and then just as a quick reminder, if there were letters that you did not finish, inside your brown file folder, you've got extra drawing paper, and then you've got the alphabet sheets and the examples of the hands that were drawn with some shading on them. So, as a reminder, I know it's been a few weeks since we did this. Look at the alphabet sheet. With your non-dominant hand, you want to look at the letter and shape it with your non-dominant hand to try and draw from. And I did say that you could put your hand on the paper and trace it to get your contour line. So if I needed the letter U, I'm going to set that on the paper, and then I'm just going to trace these edges. And this is just a guideline for you to have a starting point to know how tall to make your fingers, how wide across to make things. But remember, you are the artist, so you then need to do the rest of the details. So chances are your fingers are going to look too fat, so you're going to need to adjust them. So I'm going to put my hand next to my drawing, and now I'm going to start to draw in the rest of the contour. So all the lines that would be in between your individual fingers. And then if your fingers look too wide, then you might do some erasing and make them a little bit narrower. So now what I need to pay attention is how far across should my thumb go on my ring finger. So this is my ring finger. And when I look at this, my thumb is going about halfway across. So this is how I know where to start to draw my thumb. Anywhere I've got a knuckle, I'm going to have a slight bend in my finger. And then I'm going to draw the bottom edge to my thumb. And then remember, we've got that fat squishy part where we want to include that on the inside of the palm of our hand. So now I need to look at these two fingers and where they are placed. So I do see some of my fingernail underneath my thumb. So I know that I'm going to have to draw my ring finger a little longer so that it ends up under my thumb. And now I'm drawing my pinky. That's going over the top of my ring finger just a little bit. And then I'm going to draw the wrinkles that I see to make it look like my pinky is bent. Okay, then we talked about fingernails. So remember, you want to draw the angle that you actually see. So in this hand position, I just see the side of my thumbnail. So starting at the top edge of the contour line, I'm only going to draw the side view of my thumb. If I had long nails, then I would be drawing them overhanging my finger. We also talked about how we have skin on either side of our fingernails. So you want to make sure you have skin on the right side and the left side, and possibly some at the bottom of the nail if you have short nails. So I'm going to draw just what I see here. So I've got skin under mine because I never have long nails. And then I've got this little pinky nail here. So once I've got my nails drawn in, then I want to add in some of the wrinkles. So where my fingers bend, I had wrinkles that went across. So now I'm just going to kind of sketch in where my wrinkles are. And then the last thing that you're going to do is try to add in some value. Some shadows that are going to start to make your hands look 3D. So this example sheet shows you how a student artist went in and shaded in all the dark spots they saw on their hand. So I'm going to look at my hand when I do this. You always want to look at your own hand. And I'm going to do some shading in between my first two fingers. So with light, soft hand pressure, I'm just going to start to shade along that edge. Then I might do a little more on the other edge. If I want this to soften, I can just use my finger and smudge this. But I also forgot to tell you that if this drawing has a whole lot of eraser marks on it and you want to go trace your contour on a clean sheet of paper, you may do that before you start to do the values step here. So then I'm going to do a little bit around the edge of my thumb here. I'm going to get some wrinkles across my thumb, and I'm just going to start smearing and smudging. So I kind of want some shading on the outside and the inside of my fingers. And I'm going to look at the wrinkles in the palm of my hand, and I see dark shadows under these fingers, so I'm going to shade these in. If I want to smudge it and smear it, I can do that. I'm going to do a little bit of shading on the back of these fingers, and in between my ring finger and my pinky finger, I'm going to get some value in there. So when you have all your letters shaded and you're all done kind of adding a little bit of value to the surface, then the last thing that you need to do is go back and check, did you finish your background paper? So if you did not finish your background paper, then you need to continue to color that. Remember that we wanted to try to get rid of a lot of the white in the background, because your hands will appear more stronger when we collage them down if your background's full of color. If there's too much white on the background, then that's not going to make enough contrast with those hands. So finish coloring your background with your markers or your colored pencils until that step is finished. So when your background is done and all of your hands are done, then the last thing that you're going to do is collage them together. So you are going to be cutting out around your individual hands and collaging those down. So because we are gluing these to a surface, it is okay if you accidentally cut into the hand, because you can glue it back together anyways, but you still want to be precise when you do this. So don't be sloppy and messy, don't be in a hurry when you cut out your hands. If you have a letter where you have a hole on the inside, like this is the letter F, you can still cut in between those two fingers and then finish cutting the rest of the inside, because we're gluing this down. So you're just going to glue it back together when you put it on your paper. So once you get all of your hands cut out, then you need to come up with a composition on how you want to collage this. Remember I said this could be collaged vertical or horizontal or on a diagonal plane. That is your choice. So what you're going to be doing is deciding where on your paper you want to collage your hand. So if this one was spelling hope, H-O-P-E, I could arrange it straight across. I could turn it so it's vertical, and then I could change the position this way. H-O-P, remember the P should point down, the Q should point down, E. I could make it kind of every other, high spot, low spot. So you kind of need to figure out the arrangement that you want, but remember that the letters should look recognizable. So H's should be going sideways. If it's straight up and down, it's going to look too much like the letter U. So now when I'm ready to glue, I'm going to be using a glue called rubber cement. The reason I like rubber cement is because it is not going to make the paper wrinkle. White glue, when you glue two papers together, makes the paper wrinkle underneath, but rubber cement does not do that. So this is a very, very strong smelling glue. So you absolutely have to be standing up to do this gluing. I do not want you sitting in your desk, because I do not want your face close to this glue bottle. If I see your face close to this glue bottle on purpose, or because you forgot to stand up, I'm going to be telling you to stop and stand up. If you're doing it on purpose, there will also be additional consequences. It is not safe to be smelling glue up close. So standing up, what you're going to do is turn your hand over and you're going to paint the glue on the back side. So if you've got a huge amount of glue on the paintbrush, you just want to wipe the extra on the inside edge, and then all you're going to do is paint the individual fingers and then around the outer edge. I don't need to fill the whole middle with glue, just the outside edges. And then I'm just going to kind of pat that down until it adheres. So then I would proceed by gluing down the rest of my letters in the hand position that I want to. And that is how you are going to finish up this assignment. If you are able to get your gluing done today, I'm going to have you store that in a drying rack, because you don't ever want to put another project on top, because if glue squeezed out of the crack around the edges and somebody puts their project on top of yours, well, now they just glued together. So we're going to put these in the drying rack if they are finished, and that's how we'll proceed.